Welcome to Wasatch Weekends. I'm your host, Ben Roof, and it's a beautiful Friday morning. We've got a great show in store for you today where we'll be checking in with Tracy Miller, who's going to show us a fantastic new recipe, and then we'll be talking to Park City Film about their upcoming summer programming. But first, a little bit of local news. The Utah Department of Transportation has begun their maintenance project on the I-80 bridge over Silver Creek Junction in Summit County, and that's going to be going on all the way through the end of the month. Expect both of those on-ramps and off-ramps to be closed from 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. every day until the end of July. Now let's take a quick look at the local weather.
This weather report is brought to you by Sun and Ski Sports, your new mountain sports headquarters.
Welcome back to the show. We are now joined by Katy Wang of Park City Film. Welcome to the show, Katy.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming. So tell us a little bit about what you guys have going on. I know you're starting up a new program, or at least you kicked off a new program yesterday, I believe.
Yes. So yeah, we're really excited now that we're in summer mode. We're off our regular weekend schedule, which we do September through about mid-June. And this year we went a little bit later because our seat replacement project. But now we have a new partnership with a group called North Summit Unite. And they're a new nonprofit in Summit County. And really what their mission is to celebrate and showcase the rural communities that live on the eastern side of Summit County. And, Park City Film has programmed films out there over the years, more or less successfully. And it's really about the strength of the partnerships. And so we're so excited. We had a screening earlier this summer in partnership with Summit County Behavioral Health that was fantastic out in Colville. And last night we were out in Hoytsville showing Babe, the classic. And that was a great turnout there as well. And so really what it's this partnership is to bring people together around film with these outdoor screenings that we have programmed throughout the rest of the summer. But also it's a lead up to an exhibit by the Smithsonian, a traveling exhibit that North Summit Unite is sponsoring at the Colville Ledges Event Center called Crossroads, Life in Rural America. And it's just, again, kind of that celebration and just the evolution of what life has been like as it's kind of emerged across the West, looking at communities certainly all across the United States, but particularly out here in the West. I mean, these communities are so tightly knit, right? I mean, just the adversity that they had to endure. I'm a New Yorker, right? So I have a completely different perspective of the frontier and coming out with the hand carts and all that. But here it's like alive and well. And it's just really exciting to be able to connect to that. And kind of one of the beautiful things that North Summit Unite talks about when we were putting together this partnership is like, we want to invite people to pull up a chair to our table, to really learn what it's like to live where we do and, to have these multi-generations in these communities. And so it's just exciting to use film as a way to connect to parts of the community that we haven't really been able to get out to before.
It's always a topic that's really fascinated me, how a lot of these communities have come up. My family moved out to Colorado in the 1840s.
Oh, wow.
And they were here for quite a while prior to it being official states, territories, all of that. And it's been something really interesting. I mean, my father's family moved back to the Midwest before coming back out to Colorado when he was in high school. But so he's like the only one from the family for the last like 5 generations who wasn't born in Colorado. But I'm sure it's going to be a fantastic experience seeing that Smithsonian exhibit. And tell me a little bit about how you guys are dovetailing with it. And I'm sure that new LED screen you have is helping with a lot of these more rural showings.
Yes, no, absolutely. And so one thing we found out with the Twilight Drive-In at Utah Olympic Park that we've done the past 3 summers is that, with the beauty of the LED screen is you can start before dark, right? I mean, for many, many years, people have done, Park City Film included, have used inflatable screens. You have to start, in the summertime, dark is sunset's like 9 o'clock. It gets cold. If you have kids, young kids, that becomes a challenge. And so with this mobile LED screen, we're able to start at 7 o'clock. So then young families can come. We're on these beautiful open fields, bring people again out to different parts of the community that they may not have been before, or, this is their home and they're like, this is exciting. We have our own movie theater. So it's been fun to use the LED screen and that flexibility of timing. But the Smithsonian exhibit had curated a selection of films. Part of what they're looking at is all different aspects of American culture, right? Film obviously being a very important aspect of American culture and bring people together and storytelling. And so they had this like 5-page list of all these films. And so we're looking through it and we're like, some of them may resonate here with folks here in Summit County, but not like a lot of them didn't hit the mark because they were focused on the again, it's about the nation, right? So it's like the Appalachians, it's, the Midwest, it's all these different communities, which are great, but really, how do we get to our community? And so that's really where Park City Film came in, of curating these films that we felt would more closely adhere to the ethos of this community, right? Thinking about the Summit County Fair, it's so popular, and just how people are, raising their livestock, and just that connection that you have in rural communities. We're doing Field of Dreams, of course, iconic film about baseball, how American gonna get, set in the Midwest, but just that tie to that connection to your community. And then the last one is Fly Away Home, which, again, it's kind of that fish out of water feeling, but then again, connecting through nature to your community and to the world at large. And so I think themes that really would resonate with our community here, but that also are appropriate for all ages. There are certainly films on that list that were like, okay, that's kind of a, PG-13 R-rated film, which is fantastic for adults, but not so great if you want to bring your younger community members. So again, kind of looking at who are we trying to attract, who are we trying to bring into this conversation? And for us, it was really important, and for North Summit Unite, to bring in, film lovers of all ages. And so that's kind of what we were thinking about as we looked at the films to bring into our community. And then, of course, how we present it was an important part of that too.
Well, I would imagine that a lot of what we're, looking for the history of, Summit County and Park City is like looking a little bit more towards some of that mining history and the agricultural history, and maybe a little bit of the Old West Americana, but a little bit less, I would imagine, of, the Industrial Revolution and that changes that happened so prominently across the East Coast. But in a lot of ways, especially with manufacturing, us out west, we're still kind of catching up in some of those
Right.
regards.
Yeah, and we did look at Western films. There was certainly a conversation about, do we bring in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid? Something that we found as we programmed films over time is that the repertory films, kind of the classic films, it's a little bit harder to get people to come out for. Just the pace is so much slower. They're beautiful films. I love classic films myself, but for younger audience members, they're so used to, the timing is just so different that it's harder for them, again, to kind of get engaged. And then, of course, they are a little bit violent. As it turns out, the West was not a very placid place back in the day. So again, trying to look at what are those themes that would resonate with all community members, of all ages. And so not to kind of gloss over that history, because that certainly exists. And mining was more on the west side than the east side than west side here. But again, how do you bring in all those different themes, right? There's so much you could do and to talk about. And so we were looking at all, sorting through hundreds of films of like, what do we think would resonate with folks? And then this Smithsonian exhibit is very in-depth, looking at all of those different aspects. So that kind of gets you into the deep dive. It's like, here's the kind of dipping your toe in the water and then taking the deep dive when it comes into Colville in September.
Well, awesome. So the next film you guys have showing as part of this series, what is that and where is it going to be?
So that one is going to be Field of Dreams, and that will be on July 20th, which is a Thursday, out at the Legends Event Center. And it's going to be on the lawn back there. They've got this beautiful grassy knoll behind it. So it's like a perfect amphitheater for an outdoor movie. And then, of course, that kind of is the tee up to the Legends Event Center ultimately being the host for the Smithsonian exhibit back in September. But yeah, we've got some other films, pop-up film screenings around the community as well, in addition to what we're doing with North Summit Unite, that are exciting too. We'll be out on the Park City Library patio with Marcel the Shell with Shoes On next week, which I'm so excited about. One of my favorite films.
I'm so excited for that one too.
And then we've got some indoor films. We just programmed a film called Goodbye Donkelis, which is a Japanese anime film about a couple teenagers getting into trouble, but really finding themselves and their friendship, how that bond, which is really, just so special. And then a film called The Engine Inside, we're bringing in August, which is Anthill Films' new film about biking, but really about how the bike has transformed society, right? That freedom that you get from using, your two-wheeled vehicle to get around versus your car, and just looking at communities around the world and how transformative that has been, that form of transportation for the individuals profiled in the film. So yeah, we're just filling out our calendar, but parkcityfilm.org, everything's up now for July and August, and hope people can come out and enjoy some great films with us, wherever they are.
Well, fantastic, Katy. Thank you so much for sharing all of this wonderful information with us. Katy Wang of Park City Film. You have a great rest of your day.
Thank you so much, you too.
Thank you. And thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll be right back after a little bit of a short break. Welcome back to Wasatch Weekends. Tracy Miller of Colorful Cooking has got a fantastic new recipe that she's eager to share with us. Let's go take a look.
Welcome back to Colorful Cooking with Tracy Miller. I am Tracy. Thanks for joining us here today. We're talking all about shrimp, how healthy and how easy it is to cook. So I have a farm shrimp, and I have a wild caught shrimp. So when you're getting ready to cook it, you kind of want to pat it dry. People are always amazed when I tell them this, but like even if I have a piece of fish or something, I will just gently squeeze it after it thaws out when it's frozen to get some of that excess water. Because if you're going to put it in your pan and you're going to try to get a sear on it, then you're not going to get rid of that excess water. It's going to kind of fill up in your pan and boil your shrimp, which is not what we are after. So just pat it dry a little bit with a paper towel, real gently too. You don't want to like manhandle those little tiny crustaceans. It's not going to taste as good. So real easy to peel. You just pull the tail off, flip it over, take the legs, and they should come off nice and easy. When you're working with the farmed fish, a lot of times they just have the tails on there, so you just pull those off really quickly. So season it generously with salt and pepper, and then a nice little ingredient that you can put on there, just a tiny, tiny bit of sugar. Why do we do that? It's just going to bring out the natural sweetness of the shrimp. And when we put it in the pan, it's going to help to caramelize a little. And literally, shrimp take about 5 minutes to cook. These are already pink shrimp, so we're not going to see them change a color, but a lot of times when they're a grayish color when they start, they just turn pink right away. So here we are. We're going to have those cook. I do have my salad started. This salad has cucumbers, sliced cucumbers, and peaches. If it's a really fresh peach, all you do is take a cut and go right around that. This is called the stone fruit. The seed is in the middle, and you should be able to turn it and open it up like that. That is the easiest way and the nicest way to open up a fresh peach. A lot of times the juice will be squeezing all over you, but not today because, like I said, it's not quite as ripe as it should be. All right, we're just going to slice these up really thin. Can you hear that shrimp cooking? It smells good already. Just a little bit of simple seasoning. I have my cucumbers, so I'm just going to put my peaches down. And as the shrimp are starting to cook, you'll see that their tails are turning a little bit, and then you just want to flip them over. This is literally going to take about 1 more minute. And the key to cooking any seafood and shrimp is don't overcook it. So right about this point, I'm actually just going to turn the heat off and let them cook that side right now real easily. So turn the heat off. They're already kind of firm to the touch. They've got a little caramelization. They're looking good. And now let's make a vinaigrette. We're going to go a little bit of olive oil, equal parts olive oil, orange juice. Orange juice is one of my favorite ingredients when I am making vinaigrettes because it's low in calorie. It gives it that nice flavor, and it's juicy and has that citrus. So you can use that quite often. All right, we're going to do a little bit of cinnamon. I'm actually going to get this one out right now because I need a spoon for cinnamon, because if you overdo it, you're going to be in trouble. So we're going to use about a teaspoon of cinnamon and almost a teaspoon of cumin. We're going to go a little bit less on the cumin because it's so strong. We're going to do those two right in there. And when you're working with dried herbs like this, you really want to let them sit in the juices for a little bit. So you want to make this and then let it sit. Not for a long time, but you do want to let it sit for a little bit. See, now shake it up. okay? It's an interesting color. And that cinnamon is going to be dry right now. So the longer we let it sit right here, and I don't mean like days or anything like that. I mean, you can just let it sit for like a half hour or so. The longer we let it sit, the better it's going to taste. So let me get this out of the way and bring our salad in. The shrimp is looking good. I am going to plate this up and put our vinaigrette on. When we come back, we'll show you the finished product here, and then we'll get going with our farm shrimp and make a delicious creamy shrimp salad. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Colorful Cooking with Tracy Miller. I am Tracy. Thanks for joining us here today. We're talking all about shrimp, how healthy and how easy it is to cook. We are just going to cut these into little pieces. Actually, a lot of times when I'm making this shrimp salad, I will put it in my food processor, but I didn't want to lug the food processor in here today. So we're just going to slice the shrimp up, kind of nice and easy. If you put it in a little row, put them all together. My whole family's from Florida, so they actually have shrimp nets like right outside on their docks, and we eat the freshest shrimp you can possibly imagine. Mayport shrimp in Florida is delicious. Really, if you can get any shrimp from the Texas, the Gulf of Mexico, or Florida, you're going to be in pretty good shape with that flavor. And again, just don't overcook it, and you'll be tasting it and enjoying it. Okay, so here we go. We have our shrimp cut up into small pieces for the shrimp salad. And this one, sorry, I'm gonna add a few calories to this because it's gonna be nice and creamy. So I'm gonna do a little bit of a mixture of sour cream and mayonnaise. Now, I'm a huge mayonnaise fan. I love eggs, I love mayonnaise, but mayonnaise alone sometimes when you're making a salad like that, it's just a little too strong. So I like to mix mine with a little bit of sour cream. I actually do a half and half, 50% sour cream, 50% mayonnaise. Tons of salt and pepper. Either use dill or use tarragon, and if you're ever cooking lobster, tarragon is really, really good. It has all these little like leaves like this, and all you do is pull the leaves right off of the stems, and then we're going to chop them up. It's super easy, super fragrant, and it kind of has like a licorice type of flavor to it. So we're just going to take those right off. Actually, I just do it that way. Take them off that way. You can really put any herbs you want in here. If you would prefer, you know, parsley or something like that, you can do that. Really making something that turns out to be in your recipe repertoire all the time. All right, super simple. Cut up cooked shrimp. We have tarragon, salt and pepper, mayonnaise, and sour cream. We're just going to kind of fold it all together and make ourselves this nice creamy salad. This is so good. I eat this just by itself, and I do a lot of this in like little individual cups, and people love it. And you can either eat it by itself, you can eat it on a salad, you can eat it with crackers or crudité if you wanted to, or you can put it in a wrap and take it out on a picnic. One of the things though about wrapping up creamy dishes, there's a little trick, especially if you want to take it out on your picnic. So right now, we're just gonna put it on our bed of lettuce. This would be a nice little light lunch for you, packed with protein and vitamins and minerals, nice and light and delicious with a little bit of creaminess. I'm gonna put a little more salt and pepper right on there, especially pepper. And then when we return, I will show you how to wrap that in a tortilla. So if you want a sandwich, if you're going on a hike or something, hitting the lake or the river, we're gonna wrap that. I'm gonna give you a few tips on how to make those wraps still taste good and not get too soggy if you're going on a picnic. Welcome back to Colorful Cooking. I'm Tracy Miller. Thanks for joining us here today. We are talking about shrimp, and we just made a shrimp salad with a creamy mayonnaise sour cream base, and we used tarragon today, which is actually delicious. I was crying a little bit because I didn't have the dill that I usually like to use with my shrimp salad. Have to compromise when you're using fresh ingredients, and that tarragon, it tastes really good. So start with some lettuce, and make sure your lettuce is dry. Like I've been telling you, kind of all day here, is dry things off, because all of that moisture is going to make your wrap mushy, and it's going to make your shrimp boil when you're putting it in the pan. So I have the shrimp salad here. I'm just going to put that down right on top. And I'm going to take a little bit of the mayonnaise base and kind of make like a little bit of glue to seal it closed. I love making wraps. I don't know why, I just really like rolling things. So take it like that, pull it all out your way, move your fingers around so that you know that like you're going to get a good bite on every sandwich, and then just roll that baby up. That glue right there is going to seal it closed. And then I like to cut it in half. And when I'm making wraps and I'm getting ready to go on a picnic, or usually I'm getting ready to cater or go on a gig or something like that, what I do is I just put the wrap in the fridge uncovered until I'm ready to wrap it up. Because if you wrap it up in cellophane, what's going to happen is it's going to get all mushy. And since we have a creamy base, you want some mayonnaise on your sandwich, when you're making wraps, you want to have a layer. You want to have that lettuce layer to protect the mayonnaise on the inside and the wrap. Seems simple, but you can really kind of make a mushy sandwich if you're having it wrapped up for a little while. So we've got the two salads today. For the shrimp salad with peaches and cucumbers, and that's in a cumin cinnamon vinaigrette. And then we will also have the recipe here for you with the shrimp salad, which I'm going to say you're probably going to like a lot. Thanks for joining me here on Colorful Cooking today. Eat shrimp. It's low in calories, high in protein, and really good for you.
This weather report is brought to you by Sun and Ski Sports, your new mountain sports headquarters.
Well, that's going to be it for us on this Friday edition of Wasatch Weekends. Don't forget to tune in tomorrow for our special 1-hour episode. And until then, I'm Ben Roof, and we will see you tomorrow.